All right, so you're looking to get into USPSA, or you are already in it and you're trying to figure out what gear you want to upgrade to. I know there's a bunch of these videos out there. Just figured I'd make one, show you what I use. You can see my level of shooting on all of my other videos that I've already made. So we'll just kind of dive right into it. Um, I know most people are always going to be interested in what we're shooting first, so I'm going to start off. I do shoot a Shadow 2. Um, it's fully cagenized. All of the springs have been replaced a couple of times at this point. I'm using the Lock Palm Swell. Right now, these are, I believe, the bogies. They're the G10s. I have the aluminum ones on the way. I tried the Jaws. Just they were way too aggressive. They just really, like, you can't. Me, my little bitch hands, apparently, I can't squeeze down hard enough with them. So that's why I took those back off. 507 comp running the 2 MOA on it. I initially started with the 8 MOA circle around it, thinking that would be easier. And it is, but it's just too much information. I find it's a lot less distracting just to have the 2 MOA dot and going from there. Next, I guess we'll go with the holster. The holster is the Ghost Hydra series. Um, I was not initially using this holster, and I'm going to give cheaper alternatives for everything to try and not make this seem so expensive to play. But I use this because I was ROing on a big field course one day, and I could just feel the gun just about to come out of my, I believe it was Blade Tech holster. And when I checked it out later, I saw that I basically wore out the retention notches. So the nice thing about this one is it's locking. So now it's fully locked in, and I can't take it off. I just flip that up, and now essentially it's just a speed holster. And if I want to take the shroud off, I can turn it into a real speed holster and go into limited optics, which may or may not happen in the future. So the last thing on the gun that I want to talk about is I have thought about going directly to limited optics. Um, the thing that bothers me is the 2011s that I've tried, they all feel awesome. The problem I have is they don't feel enough better for me to switch away from my Shadow 2. I feel like the Shadow 2 still just fits in my hand the best, um, possibly because I have the most rounds through it. Nothing's good enough that I really want to make that jump, especially with like all new magazines. In New Jersey, having to have in-state magazines, 10-round tubes, versus having out-of-state magazines in free places. So that's why I've not made that jump. It's not something eventually I might do, but at the moment, Shadow 2 is just by far the best. Um, Continuing on after the holster, using the T100 belt mounting system. At first, it looks complicated. It's really not that bad. Once you figure it out, it's tons of adjustments to really be able to dial in your draw and make it as easy and smooth as possible. So I would highly recommend that. Pouches. Using the Ghost pouches. Uh, I like these because I'm able to stick the bullets out instead of just forward. I find that it's easier to reload this way. Um, and of course, being in New Jersey, I need a bunch of them, which is kind of an annoyance, but that's what it is. Um, Moving on all of my magazines, you will see the extensions from Henning. And the reason for that is the first time I went out of state and tried to use these, I realized how off the draw felt from the flat base plates to the extensions. So now even my 10-round tubes, you can see they're dimpled. The 10-round tubes all have the extensions on them so that everything feels exactly the same between New Jersey and New York, or Pennsylvania, or most recently New Hampshire. Next, I guess we'll discuss the belt. The belt is a Core Essentials belt. Um, I like it because of the ratcheting. It gives me the ability to tighten it up when I feel like it, loosen it up when I don't necessarily feel like it. Um, there are other ones out there that do it. The cheaper alternative that I used for years was the Blade Tech. It's like $40 on Amazon. I'll put a little picture up on the screen. Perfectly acceptable. Works no problem. Finishing up on mag pouches. These are nice. but honestly, you can make do with just like the $20 ones from the double pouch ones from Amazon. I'll throw a picture up on the screen, link them down below. It's what my brother still uses. Uh, they work perfectly fine, especially if you live in a free state and you only need 3 magazines on you. A magnet and a double pouch, all you need. The magnet is more specifically for unloaded darts or magazines on tables, things like that. Makes it easier just to be able to grab it, drop it, and move. Next, the timer that I use for training purposes is going to be the Shooter's Global Go 3. It's just an awesome little timer, especially once you start to figure out how the drills app works for dry fire. It's fantastic. Wouldn't recommend anything else.
Ready.
Maybe the new big one, but this one works perfectly fine. You can see the clip on top of my hat. That is for the Insta360 Go 3 camera. That's what all of my POV shots and match videos is taken from. I think that's pretty much it. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the grip enhancer that I use. The Chalkless Radically Engineered Grip Enhancer, by far the best. Highly recommended. I used to use like the normal liquid chalk, not nearly as good, doesn't last as long. Granted, it still works, but for like a couple dollars more, definitely recommend the Radically Engineered Grip Enhancer. To finish this off, really at the end of the day, whatever you have is good enough. If you have just like an outside the waistband holster, or even if your club, technically the sport allows it, but even if your club allows you to use an inside the waistband holster, show up with what you got. As long as you have enough magazines and can hold enough ammo, just give it a shot. You'll figure out all this stuff later. It's not a huge deal. The gear is less important than you think. Your skills are way more of the important aspect of competing at these matches. Any other questions, comments about the gear that I use, or any alternative recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments. Appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you.